Hello，你哋大家好，好高興又嚟到 Sisi Channel。咁今日咧，好高興咧，請到我哋嘅生意伙伴啦，亦都係幫我照顧我嘅屋嘅好朋友 Konrad 就嚟上我哋台度咧，就講關於 HMO 嘅。咁啊，really welcome Mr. Konrad.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, and so today we're going to have a topic about like our journey into HMO or property management or our journey into basically real estate. So like how did you start like from the journey of doing, this
Right.
exciting
Okay.
real
So
estate market?
yeah, I wasn't business orientated. My family was never in business. I was never taught business. I came to England in 2014. Well, it's almost 9 years ago. I came here in England and I started working in a warehouse, as most Polish people who come to England starts in warehouses and factories, etc. So I was one of those as well, and I've had like a couple of jobs, and I think it was third or fourth job I had. It was a new warehouse, and actually the owners were Chinese, and so it was a brand new warehouse. I was one of the first employees. I became a team leader there because I was working well. I'm kind of like being busy, like working hard. As well, they didn't have like systems organized, all of them. Well, the business ran very well, but they were receiving warehouse returns and they didn't have a clue what to do with those returns. And so I picked that up and spoke to my boss, like, what you want to do? What's your plan about it? And he's like, well, maybe you want to sell them. So initially I was like selling them and splitting the fees with my boss. Then I've agreed, he was not happy me doing that job. So I've agreed, okay, I'll be buying from you and then selling from my home. And been doing it for a while. And I started seeing that investing actually works, and I liked it, and it was much easier than, well, working 8 hours in a warehouse lifting boxes, where I could get buy something, sell something, and earn my daily wage pretty much. So I started to like reading books. There's a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. This was one of my first
me too.
books. Yeah, and in this book was property, to invest in property, and that it is possible without having a load of money. I started to like talking with other people about properties, etc. And these days our technology is what it is. It listens to us, and I started having some like courses on property, how to start property business with no money. And so that's what I went to. That's what I've learned, educated myself how to, because I did not had much money. So the strategy called rent to rent suited my circumstances, because not a huge amount of money can get you started. We can rent the property long term, give someone, a landlord, landlady, peace of mind for the property, guaranteed income. We take care of maintenance. We invest some into the property, like redecorate, new furnishing, home staging, make it look nice, do a decent photos, and we pay the rent, we pay the bills, and what's left is our profit. And so I've done the training in 2018. I remember 2nd of January 2019, we had our first 2 sets of key to 2 properties at once. And it just started to grow like progressively all the time, and deal after deal after deal. Then we started buying as well. So then we tried different ways of investing, finding deals for other investors and packaging them, offering full service where we refurb, we manage afterwards. So like putting a pack where somebody just invests money and we do all the work. So, and it just happened from the book, really.
It's very similar to my story, but like how do you have the courage? It's quite organically happen. Like, you basically bootstrap yourself into being an entrepreneur. I can imagine like the kind of challenges one faces. But how did you like have the courage to jump into like property management and having the bravery think, oh wow, you need to put investment yourself. And that's a big jump.
Yeah, well, I was working in a warehouse. It wasn't a dream job, So when I started in property, I didn't like done the training and okay, I'm quitting my job and doing property now. No, I was still working, still doing the warehouse returns, and on the side as well, I was looking for properties. It wasn't easy at the beginning. I wasn't like a salesman. I couldn't. It was hard for me to negotiate because I've never done this type of negotiations. But the more I tried, the better I became, and it just became easier. The courage wise, well, I had nothing to lose really. Well, if I've tried to do it safely. Well, the strategy I was doing, which is rent-to-rent HMO, it's quite a safe strategy because we operate on we how we're doing it, like our profit needs to be greater than 1 month 1 month worth of room rate, because if the one room is empty, we're still making profit or we're not losing money. So that keeps us secure. And we've tried for initially 2 properties. It was 8 bedrooms in total, and we've managed it. We had like good occupancy rate. We pretty much had it full all the time. Then we took the 3rd one, and then we took a 4th one, and then like, oh, I'm making more money here than I was making in my job. So it was a time like, okay, we can now move to full-time property management and in the same time start scaling it quicker.
I can just imagine like this is like what everybody would love to do, because on the back of it you have the knowledge and helping other people also. It's not just for yourself. And I think that is a really good motivation. Like I started my business over here pretty much the same way. It was just about helping people at the beginning. It wasn't really about the profit, but I think having a motivation, learning that you're not just helping yourself, you're also helping your client. I think that's really a good incentive. I just wonder like how you get your clients and like what did you just mentioned like they love the fact that they're hands off. I think I have a very similar perspective in my business. Client from Hong Kong that approach me, or from different country also, that they mainly because they're hands off, they don't need to be on the ground here looking at a property, and we like to get something that is, I would call a humble property market, where you are renting to local people. You're not trying to inflate the property market, being a foreign investor, and you're coming here and being a responsible landlord, looking after your property, and done by property management by us, and then you don't really need to worry about anything, and you're still getting your returns. It's a similar way of thinking. We help them buy. We actually view the property. We do the fact checking. We did like lots of the diligence, and at the end, collecting rent for them. And if you have any issue, we will deal with it for them. So that was the joy and the beauty of it. Avoiding a lot of issue buying from different country, like a lot of cultural differences, understanding of like the property market locally. So for your client, is because they have the certainty, they feel safe, or is it because of cash flow they're looking for?
It depends on person. It depends on circumstances, and depends what somebody wants. Some people, they just want a cash flow. That's their key motivation. Some people just want to park their funds somewhere and just let it grow long term. Someone else just wants to recycle the money where they put it, they buy a property, they put some cash, and they refurbish the property, then they refinance it and trying to pull as much money or all of it out and then reinvest again. So it's all varies. It's difficult to say what everyone is different, you know. So but we work with individual investors and suit everyone's criteria.
I have like several questions from like viewers also. They ask, you know, why is it HMO attractive? We mentioned that it's cash flow, and because it's the volume of the property, like, you know, the property itself, you know, we are renting to multiple people. But they did ask like how about the kind of nitty-gritty, like the taxation of it, you know, in terms of when we are having HMO, what is the benefit? Is it any different to a single let in UK? Someone asked.
Right, yes, there is. It is a significant difference, and well, there are pros and cons on both, like single lets and HMOs. What's definitely good on HMOs, like, well, the cash flow is the greater for sure. We can get it if we have like six bedroom, for example, we have 3 bathrooms, 3 ensuite bathrooms, etc. We can get commercial mortgage, which value goes up. We can pull some more money out of the property, or more, obviously. If it's more than 6, we can and so we can get a commercial valuation. So that's definitely good. Another pro of HMO is definitely like if somebody moves out. Let's say we have 6-bedroom HMO, like on your example, you have 6-bedroom HMO, and we manage, and somebody moves out, we still have 5 other tenants who pays the rent, which covers the bills, which covers the mortgage and other costs. Where if in single let tenant moves out, then it instantly becomes a liability. Then we inheriting, well, we paying mortgage because we have to, but we also need to add on top bills, council tax, etc. So that's definitely a con for single lets. However, on single lets, once tenant moves in, they stay there forever. Most of tenants, they pay their rent. And it's like less hassle for sure, where in HMO there is more rotation. Tenants tends to move out sooner. Well, sometimes they just sign 6 months contract, they move after 2 months because their circumstances changes. It's not always like that.
Yeah, we did mention that, didn't we? We had a pro that is, if you say multi-let, you're relying on 6 people. So if one move out, it's okay. If one doesn't pay rent, you still kind of, but if it's a single let, you kind of stuck. Your investment is stuck in one apartment. And I've seen that happen a lot with my client. If one person decided not to pay rent or being difficult, you have a lot of issue because your investment is stuck with that, isn't it? So
this is the worst scenario when, like, in single let, tenant stops paying. Really, yes. It's I would say it's a very little percentage. It comes to vetting tenants and verifying, but still, sometimes life changes people, and we can't really do nothing about it. And if this happens and somebody stops paying because can't afford, maybe, well, started doing drugs, mental issues, etc. It's quite difficult, especially if it's a family with kids. It's quite difficult to evict them from a family home, whereby from HMO, well, there are procedures, obviously. However, it's easier to get rid of one individual instead of a whole family.
So how do we actually meet? About my experience with your company. So how did we meet? It was a letter, wasn't it?
What we did, as we were like, we had a quite good demand for tenants, and so we're sending letters to to landlords from HMO register, offering our services that we can, that's what I mentioned before, we can pay guaranteed rent, we can look after bills, we'll look after the property and maintain the property, and we'll manage it, and we'll obviously make something on top of that. So we've been doing like batches every so often where we want to look. So we've sent a letter, I think I can remember, like on Wednesday or Thursday, and I remember it was Sunday when you've messaged me if we can have a conversation.
I was like, might as well just do it. I was kind of getting frustrated with my house. Like I mentioned to you, like I had a leak for like, well, I thought I had a leak. And I didn't. I was sent a video by my existing property manager, and I thought I had a leak, and for like 6 months I hear nothing back. I said, I just want to know like what's going on. I want to have a quotation, and hear nothing. And it's been like 4 years of not making any money. Like I barely break even, and the cost of like utilities was getting more expensive. Again, I feed it off to my property management. And I said, listen, I'm really worried about like utility bills. Do you know anything? I just don't hear any response. And the response was very curt, and it was very almost rude, you know, like, why are you worried about this? That kind of questions. And I was like, well, you know, we all know the utility price has shot up the roof, you know? So that started my questioning. And I was like, am I in the right place, you know? And and I thought, oh, it doesn't harm if I just make a text, right? And I contacted you. And it was really just out of the blue, to be honest. And I found, I think I got to tell you the story, how I found this property management. It was just before Brexit, like we were about to move from UK to Portugal. And I have this huge house, and I've been looking also like about HMO, and knowing pretty much, I think like we were in the same kind of atmosphere, like looking into multi-let, looking to rent. I'm very interested in property. And I thought, well, how can I leverage my house from a liability to a profitable business? Because I know my house has a potential for that. And at the time, I tried to look like around that's back in 2019, 2018, like the end of 2018. Like, is there anyone do this? And there wasn't really anybody. It was that in that area that we lived in, it was just maybe 1 or 2 guys. The first guy came along. He was like a really young lad. He did Airbnb, and he didn't really understand about HMO. Like, and I knew, because I already spoke to a HMO officer, a licensed officer, and they really scared me to death of how much work that involved, that they told us, like, you need to do loads of work. And the guy just didn't really know much. And then I have a second guy, which is my last property management manager. He says, well, I manage like, 30 or 40 houses in the area. And I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. And he says, the one thing he said to me was, I'm going to make you rich, right? I got kind of like, wow, that sounds amazing.
You were sold.
Yeah, I was like, wow, it's very naive. I was just happy someone take the pain away, like, okay, it's a huge house, and I really don't want to rent it to a single family home, because the person who sold it to me said she had a really bad experience with a tenant, because this is such a big house in an area that is not really popular for a family. It's more popular for.
Well, it was rent for a family, but it's just the size of it. Like, it would have to be a large family, and I think you've made the right decision by turning it into a HMO, because it works much better this way.
Yeah, so and I went for this person, and it was very strange. He says, I don't work with contracts, and he told me like there's a lot of things like now looking back, it's red flag, because I didn't really know the regulation. But he did introduce me a mortgage advisor, a HMO licensing advisor person, and everything. I got the license quite quickly. and quite smoothly. And he got the builders in. We installed fire doors. We installed a new bathroom. We got a plumber in. All at a cost. And basically like just to try to make it work as little as possible, but yet I can still leave with a decent house.
Mm-hmm.
So and after that, I thought, okay, everything went quite smooth. My house was really quite neat, but throughout the years, I just never managed to go into the house. Like I would say, oh, I'm coming back to UK. He was like, well, why do you want to look at it? There's tenants. You can't go there. It's that kind of, and I was like, what? Okay. Like I didn't want to rock the boat. I thought, oh, maybe I'm not allowed to go in because there's tenants. But yeah, like it was quite shocking, like because after decided changing over the management to see my house in that state, it was quite shocking. Like I was devastated, to be honest. It was very dirty. Like it was, what you call it, disheveled. The house was, like and
it was quite dirty property.
I was saying to you that like I was charged cleaning fee, like weekly cleaning fee. Like, I just didn't understand how come there's like oil. Like I still don't understand. Like how can it be so dirty if they're paying for cleaners? And you said there was actually cleaner there, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what your previous manager was saying, that the cleaner was coming there. I have never. Well, the tenants were saying that the cleaner. Yes. The tenants confirmed that the cleaner was coming to the property.
It was like I wouldn't say it was unprofessional, but there was a lot of like red flag, wasn't it? Things that wasn't done properly. That was actually more worrying. Like the dirtiness was unpleasant, but it was a lot of red flag, like the fact that I didn't have a contract with him, and the fact that like the house was managed in a way was a lot of there's a lot of non-transparency. Like it was things that have not been told, explained to me. So let's talk about like what did you spot it that was a lot of alarm bells.
Right. Okay. So the first alarm was that the house license of the house is for 6 people, and when we took over, there were 6 people in the house. However, the one room is empty, and on room on the top there was a couple living there, and the room which was empty, it just became available. So the house was run illegally, and there were too many people in the house, which is breach of license. That's the first big red flag. We've been asking manager for contracts which he had with tenants, where he actually shouldn't have any contracts with tenants because he was just a middleman. He was he's supposed to prepare contracts, get tenants to sign, and get landlady to sign it.
That would be me to sign the contract, right? Yes.
Yes, but he didn't have really a contract. Well, he didn't want to send the contract. We've asked tenants to show them what they've got, and what it was just more like a heads of terms, not a legal assured short-term tenancy agreement. And this would make it difficult when we're evicting someone. We wouldn't be able to use section 21, which is seeking possession notice, a non-fault seeking possession notice. This would have to be only under charges, based on grounds, which is section 8. But sometimes it is like tenants doesn't breach the grounds, however is a nuisance in the property, and we want them out, and it just becomes more difficult. Another thing, the thermostat, where we can adjust the temperature, it was boxed up, which is also another thing disallowed. The tenants must be having the right to control the temperature in the property. And apart from that, the front garden, the back garden, very overgrown. So there were loads of things which wasn't looked after. And well, I am understand. Apart from contract, that's what this thing I don't understand, because here in UK the paperwork must be perfect, and if someone is big, it doesn't look after those things, and I don't think he runs business well. As they grown big, they've had loads of, I think he was saying he's got 300 rooms. And they are managing, and they didn't have enough staff to look after all the portfolio. That's why it wasn't looked after. That's why the garden was overgrown. Nobody was checking the cleaning lady if she's doing a good job. It was like just let it run, and everyone's been paid. Let it run. Make sure the rooms are filled, and everyone will be happy. But it actually didn't end up like that.
Yeah, this house needs upkeep, and if you don't keep it up to state after several years, you are talking about like in a risk of like proper remodeling, and that's if you don't keep it up, it's just more cost. But if you don't keep it up, by 10 to 5 years, you have to remodel the whole place again, and that costs a lot for no reason in particular, because of poor management. And the biggest worry is not to have proper contract. Now we do have proper contract now, Konrad. With the tenant.
Yeah, everything. Well, that protects the contract, protects not just us, but it protects us both.
What I don't understand is
wrong.
Why not? Why don't he has it? This is what I don't understand. Right? It protects him. It makes his life easier. Yeah. Like for me, for my client, the utmost important is the tenancy agreement to set it right. And actually, getting a tenant is not the most important thing. It's having the contract, everything black and white, protecting your client. It makes your life much easier in future. So he's not doing that, and I wonder why he's not doing that. Because
well, that's the question I can't answer. I don't know the answer.
Absolutely, it does him no favor. But that really shows it. I had an interview several weeks ago with a lady that invested in Portugal, and it was kind of a really like a disaster news, to be honest. And she invested something that it was promising her a rental income for years. Like, imagine I'm going to give you 5%, whatever, and nobody signed any contract, because she's supposed to have a lawyer representing her to sign this contract, guaranteeing her income. And however, the lawyer, the builder, the property management, the investor company are all in it together to make a buck for her. So the lawyer is controlled by there's not a separate entity to protect her rights and her her investment. So nothing is being signed, even though things has been promised to her. There's no guarantee at all, and it was really bad. So I think the one takeaway is make sure the paperwork has been done, and as a homeowner, you have a right to check the documents. Am I right?
Definitely, and checking the person you work with, doing your due diligence, maybe checking social media, I don't know, checking company's house, how long they've been operating, things like that. But it's not just about managers, it's about when we buy a house, like from developers, etc. Like what's the reason, what's behind what we see, and to avoid costly mistakes.
This is very, very, very interesting, because we will have another topic in that discussion, how we can protect ourselves to buy property that, that help you as an investment rather than as a loss from day one. That can totally happen, and I've seen that happen a lot. It's because people did not do their due diligence, and there is not a lot of transparency. Even big companies did not really show their books. like what is the future for us then, like for the property market, like in terms of, you know?
Right. So there is currently UK property market is it looks for most a risky one because of the interest rate goes up and up and up.
Yes.
So many buyers are stepping back from the market. And this is a great opportunity because there is more and more people who are motivated to sell, who can't afford mortgage payments, who have empty houses, they want to sell, but there is a pain of paying mortgage, paying bills, and it keeps going up. The motivation rises, but there is no buyers because everyone is scared. And that's the time where we can go in and put, well, offers cheaper, lower than we would put a year ago or 2 years ago, because there is no competition, no one else is buying. So this is the time to get a war chest and with gold, with cash, and buying cheap.
Amazing. If it's possible, that would be great. If you've seen any deals and I can have a video, like that will be so good. Imagine, I don't know, if you've seen a house like anywhere and you think this is a really good deal, and if you manage to see a viewing, I can just make a video and that will be gold. And then we could talk about why this is a good deal, or even just a listing on like Rightmove or something. We could just talk about the Rightmove in real time. Yeah, we can see, oh, this is like a good property.
But I'm buying it because it's cheap. It was on the market for 235. It didn't sell it. They reduced it to 210. And I went there in May, and I've offered like, okay, I can buy it now for 160. They said no. And I said like, okay, no problem. If you change your mind, you've got my number. And they rang me, well, 2 weeks ago, less than a week ago, more than a week ago. And I said like, yeah, we'll take 160.
I love to talk about that story. So thank you so much, Konrad, this week for talking about our history and our story in like, you know, the property market and like how we run our business, and hope that like to see you again and we can catch up on a next topic. If you like our video, and please subscribe and give us a follow. 好多謝請到 Konrad 先生今日，咁希望咧大家咧中意我哋睇嘅片咧，如果中意嘅話咧，請 follow 俾個 like，再見。
Thank you very much.